When it comes to Pokemon ROM hacks, very few games have a reputation for insane difficulty like the Kaizo games. So what happens when a noob tries one? I begin my journey by choosing Chimchar and clawing a bird to death, winning my first battle. After informing my mom of my victory, I go out to catch my first batch of encounters, landing me a Pikachu, Spheal, Whismur, Baneri, Burmy, and a Delibird, which I quickly find out was given some huge buffs in Platinum Kaizo. With not only its attack, special attack, and speed buffed, but it was given an actual level up learn set and adaptability, further boosting the power of its ice and flying type moves, making this possibly my strongest encounter so far. Now that I have a decent team of Pokemon, it's time for me to take on Route 202's first trainer, youngster Tristan, whose team boasts held items that boost their normal type moves for Zigzagoon and Sentret, and flying type moves for Pidgey, as well as all having access to Quick Attack, giving each Pokemon a priority move, making leaving in low health Pokemon dangerous because the enemy will always move first if it sees a kill with Quick Attack. Fortunately for me, Baneri gets Rolling Kick in Platinum Kaizo, allowing her to take out Zigzagoon without taking too much damage. Tristan then sends in Sentret, who on top of the Silk Scars has adaptability, making his Quick Attack an even bigger threat. I keep Baneri in, relying on her Rolling Kick to quickly deal with the Sentret, but due to being accuracy dropped by a Sand Attack from Zigzagoon, I miss my first attack and eat a Quick Attack. I switch to Pikachu and get in less damage than I was hoping for, and quickly have to switch him out. I go into Chimchar next, switching him into a Quick Attack that puts him in range to die to a crit, but I keep him in and he dodges the crit, and takes a Sentret down. I switch into Delibird to fight Pidgey, who one-shots with Powder Snow, winning the fight. My next battle puts me against a Sunkern, who despite looking innocent aims to give my Pokemon slow and painful deaths by using Toxic and Leech Seed to chip away at my Pokemon, while allowing Sunkern to stall with Protect while healing through the Leech Seed, Mega Drain, and its held Oranberry. I lead with Chimchar and get a burn on my first Ember, which is huge because the burn damage will help to neutralize some of the healing Sunkern will get from the Leech Seed. Ember allows me to set up Delibird, who puts down the Sadistic Seed with his Gust. Now that I've finished off the Sunkern, I somewhat mentally check out and almost lose Baneri as a result of my lack of patience, but I get lucky with the damage roll and survive on 2 HP. Pikachu makes quick work of Starly, and I proceed to decimate Bugcatcher Logan with a Delibird sweep, allowing me to enter Jubilife City. Reaching Jubilife allows me to get the Old Rod, letting me pick up a Love Disc and Finneon as fishing encounters before I attempt to take on trainers on Route 204. 204's first trainer does not present much of a challenge, with the biggest highlight being Delibird showing his power by one-shotting Budew through Paralysis and Attract. 204's next trainer, however, is a different story. Youngster Tyler's team seems pretty weak on paper. I mean, his ace is a Magikarp. How could I lose? Oh no. Tyler opens the battle with a Rain Dance from his Feebas, enabling his Magikarp to outspeed all of my Pokemon due to its Swift Swim ability, doubling its speed in the rain. I was not at all prepared for this fight, and it showed. I didn't have a solid answer for the Carp, and trying to ensure my Pokemon didn't go over the level cap for Rourke, I purposefully kept them low level. But unfortunately that seemed to be a mistake, as Spheal could barely hurt the beast and Pikachu barely survived the switch-in, only to get outsped and killed because of my panic. I forgot about Swift Swim. I should have just sacrificed Spheal for a clean switch, but that mistake in the moment caused the loss of one of my only Pokemon that might have been able to take down the Carp. Baneri is also able to withstand a blast, but isn't able to do meaningful damage before becoming the beast's next victim. At this point, I'm lost. I have no strategy and only 3 Pokemon left. I desperately try to chip down the monster, but Finneon and Spheal aren't able to withstand his blast, leaving only Delibird left. Delibird has proved himself to be a potential hero of this run, but I fear his power won't be enough to face this beast. Miraculously, Delibird is able to tank a bounce, but just barely can't slay the beast with a Gust, making Flail a massive threat. But our hero is able to withstand the monster's desperate gambit and bring it down with a Gust. Standing alone and wounded, our hero must take on Tyler's final Pokemon, a Psyduck, who doesn't seem to be that strong, but is able to tank a Gust and confuse Delibird. Now confused and with only 1 HP, Delibird makes its heroic final stand. Reflecting on the friends lost and battles won, he's able to find a moment of clarity and strike the duck despite his confusion. But it wasn't enough. Psyduck survives in the red and is able to shoot Delibird down, ending our hero, and with him, our first attempt. Attempt 2 made it back to Jubilife, but I decide to clown around before I try Route 204 again, and immediately regret it because I didn't read the docs, and I get into a battle where I have no answers for a Happiny, who's able to build up with Curse and kill 3 of my Pokemon before I can take it out, causing me to give up on this run, determined to make it out of Jubilife on attempt 3. After getting back to Jubilife City again, I decide I want to take on Route 204 before the clowns, so I can try to avenge my first attempt. Last Samantha isn't much of a threat and goes down easily, but now I approach the beast. The Bass makes it rain, but is quickly struck down by Mareep as I ready myself for the horrors that are to come. I start thinking about who I'll have to sack, who could slow this monster down as I gamble on Mareep surviving a hit so that I can get a T-Wave off before it dies. I ready myself for the storm, but nothing comes. Hydro Pump misses. Full para. The carp goes down without doing any damage. The duck falls without much struggle. What once seemed to be a beast was now a quick and easy fight. Turns out thinking and using status moves is actually pretty good. Feeling confident, I challenged the last trainer on 204, and the fight's easy due to how buffed up Farfetch'd is in this game. Now I'm able to move forward and catch a Bellsprout and a Zubat. Before I leave Jubilife, I have to deal with the clowns. I'm able to choose which order I fight them in, so I start with this one. Since his team is built around setting up screens and rolling Metronome while his Pokemon are harder to kill. But I have a plan. I open with Turtwig, who's able to take out Mime Jr. with 2 bites. Mime Jr. is able to get a light screen off, but it doesn't matter because of step 2 of my plan. I switched to Igglybuff on a Metronome just in case it rolled something that could have killed Farfetch'd, which worked out since it got one shot, giving me a clean switch. So I can hit with a Brick Break, taking out any screens that Mime Jr. could have set up if Turtwig took longer to kill. Farfetch'd destroys the Snubbull and the Cleffa that followed it. The next clown opens with Pichu, looking to paralyze me before he spams his Metronome. I open with Bellsprout, but he gets paralyzed, then hit by a Metronome rolling a crit Smelling Salts, pulling the weed and causing the second death of the run. I switch in Turtwig and take Pichu out. I go into Farfetch'd next, thinking Smoochum might use Attract, but I guess wrong and it sets up Hail, making it harder to hit due to its ability Snow Cloak. But that doesn't matter much, as Farfetch'd Brick Break is enough to take it and the falling Igglybuff down. Finally, it's time to avenge Run 2 and take out the final clown. I open with the Zubat I caught earlier since its ability, Inner Focus, will stop it from getting flinched by Makihita's Fake Out. I hit a Supersonic and barely missed the kill with a Wing Attack, but it's okay because Makihita hits itself. I Supersonic the Happiny as well to get another self hit, then switch to Farfetch'd. Happiny starts to stack Curse, but I'm able to kill it before it becomes a problem, and scramble Togepi, closing down the circus and letting me leave Jubilife. With both of my previous attempts surpassed, it's time to deal with one final obstacle, battle with my rival Barry. It comes with a full team of 6 Pokemon, which includes Technician, Fake Out, U-Turn, Apom, Flame Orb, Guts, Taylor strats, and a Choice Banded Slack Off, making this hands down the toughest fight I've run into yet. I open with Zubat to prevent Apom getting a free flinch. The Fake Out does hurt, but thanks to Zubat's Oran Berry, I'm confident it has enough HP to stay in. I get a Supersonic off and Apom hits itself, letting me get a Wing Attack, bringing it down to about half HP. Barry switches to Elekid, so I switch in Turtwig on the Shockwave. Turtwig gets parried by Thunder Wave, but 1 Mega Drain is enough to put Elekid in the red. Barry switches again, bringing out Chimchar, so I switch in Love Disc on the Ember. Aqua Jet does good damage, but Chimchar is able to heal all of it thanks to the held item Berry Juice. I Water Pulse and find out that Love Disc is faster, so I stay in despite being on 4 HP and kill with another Water Pulse. Barry brings Elekid back, and I decide to try and kill it with an Aqua Jet, which works and brings out the Slack Off. I know that this thing is a threat and has a decent chance of one-shotting a lot of my Pokemon if I don't deal with it quickly. I consider sacking Love Disc, but decide to try and keep it alive since I'm running low on Pokemon. I switch in Mareep since I think it might be able to survive, and even if it doesn't, it still might be able to paralyze the Slack Off with a static. Mareep just barely survives, and I get a free T-Wave off on the turn that Slack Off loads. I switch Farfetch'd in and get the full para and kill with a Brick Break. Barry's next Pokemon is Tailo. Since he holds a Flame Orb and has Guts, I assume that AI will go for Protect so that it can activate the burn without taking damage turn 1. Based on this assumption, I decide to focus energy, further increasing my crit rate. I guess right and get the free buff, then crit and kill with Poison Jab. Apom comes back next and lands a Fake Out, but doesn't amount to much. Next up is Mankey, who lives to Poison Jab but dies to the poison, finishing the battle without losing any Pokemon. 3 attempts and I'm barely halfway to Rourke. Will I be able to beat him? Probably not, but if you want to see me try, subscribe for part 2.